Welcome to the ninth interview from marketing-interview.com. We have Marina Yurchenko as our guest today. She is Chief Marketing Officer at Junction. Junction is a global hackathon and tech community organizing events where developers, designers, and entrepreneurs come together to create projects and solve challenges. It is renowned for being one of the leading hackathon organizations globally. Welcome, Marina. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Marina, why did you decide to go into marketing and how did all of this start?
Well, if we really rewind far back, it kind of started with my passion for writing and storytelling. Actually, ever since I was a kid, I really like to write like short stories and poems, and they even got published at some point. But yeah, then when it was time for me to go to university, I graduated from high school like super early. I was only 15, so I wanted to
Wow.
pick a very yeah. I wanted to pick a very general field because I wasn't completely sure what to do at that age. So I went into business school here in Finland, Helsinki, and yeah, as the studies went on, I kind of like discovered this interest for marketing, and yeah, so I majored in it, and that's how it all started.
That sounds great. So, what was your professional development like then? I mean, you finished high school with 15, then you finished with your bachelor's probably at 19 or something like that.
I was 20, I think.
20?
Yeah, but quite early. Yeah. Uh, well, it wasn't a very straightforward journey for me. Um, like my first job in the field, it was no surprise, it was copywriting, just because I love to write. But it took quite a while until I could do it full time. So I had to like juggle several jobs at the same time. The other jobs were like in the customer service sector. So yeah, it took a while until I could do it full time. But then when it was finally on track, then it was just a very interesting journey full of learnings. So I started at a content creation agency. It was a remote job, but the agency was based in Estonia, so quite close to Finland. And then after that, I got promoted to be an editor in chief there. So I got a lot of insights into SEO, so search engine optimization. And yeah, I did a lot of work with clients, and it was just a super insightful experience. And then I moved away from Finland and started working in Barcelona for a marketing agency, and I was the lead SEO writer there. And that was also again super insightful, and that's where I got this wider perspective into marketing, and kind of fell in love with the data driven approach to it. And then I moved back to Finland, and I freelanced for a while. For around a year, I was self employed, and I was working with different clients around all sorts of industries. And then I joined Junction as a CMO in February this year. So, yeah, it hasn't been straightforward, but I'm super happy where this path took me.
That's nice. That's very nice. And you talk about copywriting. Do you have any role models that are in the field of copywriting, like some copywriters that are legendary or copywriters that you are looking up to?
To be honest, no, I didn't have any. Like, of course, I would say maybe not the bigger names that probably are like prominent in the industry, but I was very lucky to always have like people who were willing to teach me. So some sort of mentors, and like in every company where I worked for. So yeah, I would say those are my role models. And now that I am in a leading position, I aspire to be like them. So I would like to give people opportunities that were given to me, and like to share my knowledge as much as I can.
I understand. What I like about copywriting is that when I read books about copywriting or just about marketing in general, there are a lot of people who are talking about marketing and they know some stuff about marketing. But when you read the books from the actual copywriters and even from the legendary copywriters, there were copywriters back in the 20th century, 19th century. These are the people who actually understand marketing to its core. Because back then you didn't have image media. Back then you didn't have the internet and all of the stuff that you have right now with retargeting and targeting just the right people with your Facebook or Instagram campaigns, whatever it is. These people were actually the ones who really understood the human psychology to the core, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I love about copywriting. Copywriting is actually marketing compressed to its core, even when it comes to video creation. If you understand copywriting very well, how you use, for example, I mean, basic formulas like the AIDA formula, you can create pieces that are actually converting cold people into hot buying customers who want to just buy your services more and more, right?
Yes, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. I really think that like writing and copywriting is the fundamental skill to marketing. And yeah, if you master that, you're pretty much set. You're
That's
pretty
true.
much set. Of course, there is a lot to learn and there are many aspects to cover, but that's the fundamental one.
Definitely. What has helped you to grow and develop yourself the most in the field of marketing?
Um, well, as I mentioned, people who were willing to learn, to learn and to teach me as well. So kind of like mentors, I like to call them. Another thing is maybe like looking for challenges. I know a lot of people they like to kind of stick to like get to some sort of stable position and then just like kind of stick to that role and like live stress free, which I understand why, but for me it's been constantly like looking for new challenges because I feel like that's where you grow. And I think it's so important to take on roles that feel kind of intimidating at first because that's where you grow the fastest. And maybe, yeah, just the general mindset of being open to kind of like unexpected opportunities, like to not put yourself in the box and, yeah, try to experience different roles and different tasks.
I understand. And you started off as a copywriter, then SEO copywriting, and then you became a CMO, head of marketing, right?
Yeah.
So what was that shift like from shifting just from a SEO copywriter to really going to a full head of marketing? How did you accomplish that?
Well, I think that it really helped that I used to work for agencies and I also used to be like self-employed. So I really kind of like got to experience what different clients in different industries want. And yeah, I was always trying to like actively listen to them and like really step into their shoes. So that was definitely something helpful. And I also did quite a lot of volunteering. So like I took on tasks that are related to marketing or media or PR and comms and anything related to the marketing sphere and also to the startup ecosystem because yeah, I feel like it's just such an inspiring environment. So that also helped a lot. Working with events and there are always like unexpected things happening there, so you really get to network with different teams, different people, and get insights all the way.
Definitely, definitely. So how are you currently training yourself and the people around you?
Well, I try to focus on learning as much as I can. I wish I had more time. Of course, I kind of learn every day because there are some unexpected tasks coming my way every day, and yeah, it takes some time to figure out like how to actually approach them. So that's definitely like learning by doing.
Yeah.
I also take online courses, not only like directly related to marketing. For example, recently I was doing a UX research course. I'm close to finishing it. And also, I got myself into master's studies, which are starting this autumn. So, going to be studying business informatics. So, yeah, it's all about learning. And when it comes to my team, so since Junction is a not-for-profit organization, I lead a team of volunteers. So it's a bit different than like working with timers, but we try to encourage this kind of like culture of sharing knowledge. So we really learn a lot from each other. Also, like you never know like in which spheres people have experiences, so sometimes you recruit a person to, let's say, do SEO or do social media marketing, and they end up having experience in like email marketing or something like that. So knowledge comes from completely like unexpected directions, and I do really love that.
I understand. I understand. Do you use social media to stay up to date?
I have to. Yeah. um even more than I would like to. I would probably say for me, it's mainly Instagram and LinkedIn these days. But then, of course, I have to tap into TikTok and Twitter or X quite often as well, and Facebook. So, yeah, I do keep up, try to keep up with as many social media channels as I can.
I understand. I understand. You're probably pretty young. You don't have a child right now, if I may ask,
No, no, I don't
right?
have children.
But
I have,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, what's that? I'm
only
sorry.
dogs.
Only dogs. Okay, that's also good.
Yeah.
That's also good. I have to look out for my mom's dog right now. So she's with us right here. You cannot see her,
Oh,
but
that's nice.
yeah. So I'm also looking out for a dog right now. It's beautiful. It's a good experience to
Yeah.
just have her go out every day with her. But it's a lot of work. It's kind of like a child.
It does teach you discipline, that's for sure.
Yeah. So if you had a child, what advice would you give your child if he or she wanted to just follow the same path as you and started from scratch?
I think, well, just maybe because for me, it kind of like grew out from my passion. So I would say follow your passion. And as I mentioned, like stay open and stay curious for even the most unexpected opportunities. And that's maybe very vague, but yeah, especially for younger people, I feel like you often don't know like what exactly you want to do, and you don't have to put yourself in that box, and life is all about exploring. So just like kind of follow follow your deepest passion, and I'm sure like it's gonna work out.
That's a good advice. That's a good advice. What insights do you wish you had when you just started out?
Hmm. Mm, which insights? Well, I'm actually not sure what would have helped me at that point, but maybe I wish I had like networked more rather than just focusing on. I focused on studies a lot, and that kind of like, sometimes you think I don't have time to go to that event, or like to really get to know people in the ecosystem. Let's say I have to study, I have to get that skills. That's important, but it also is very important to network a lot. And another thing maybe is to prioritize the kind of like work life balance, because I experienced burnout in my early 20s, and that wasn't great. That wasn't great at all. And just because sometimes you really try to achieve something, and then you think like I'll have a rest later, or it even doesn't cross your mind. It feels unimportant as long as you're just like constantly grinding towards a goal. But yeah, after experiencing burnout, I it has definitely taught me to prioritize rest when it's needed. So yeah, maybe networking and not overworking, those two.
That's a big one. That's a big one. What would you recommend for young people how to network? How can get people or young people especially into contact with important people in the field of marketing?
I feel like, okay, for me, I must say it was quite difficult, and I'm still again learning every day, because I'm quite an anxious person. Like I sometimes have episodes of social anxiety. So Maybe the best advice I could give is like to not put too much pressure on yourself. Not nobody really expects you to know everything. So just go out there, not trying to prove anything to anyone, but just like put yourself out there, be curious, ask questions, and yeah, just like be genuine and nice to people, and opportunities are gonna come. That's like networking is maybe such a, I don't know, corporate kind of word, but it's really just about like communicating and connecting with people.
Would you say events are the best channel for networking, or would you say LinkedIn would be a good channel? How would you, if you started from scratch and you wanted to build sort of a community for yourself, how would you approach that?
I was in denial of LinkedIn for a very, very, very long time. I had this kind of like image of LinkedIn in my head that it's like, I don't know, people are not being sincere there, people are not being genuine, but it really, really depends on like what kind of like influencers, let's say, you follow, or what kind of people you connect with. So it's definitely a great channel to build a network. You just have to be selective about it. And yeah, events are another great thing. Like for example, in Finland we have a lot, like I would say that the startup ecosystem here is really thriving. So there are a lot of those, a lot of free events where you can attend and just like go chat with people, and they're super motivated, and they are willing to share their knowledge and ideas. So that I feel like is such a like fertile ground for making those connections.
I understand. I understand. That's a good advice. That's a good advice. Is there I'm sorry. Is there a moment in your career that you are particularly proud of?
Well, yeah, well for for me so far, like joining Junction, that was my proudest moment. Um, yeah, just because it's a role with a high level of responsibility, and it's also like a company with a very interesting history because it has grown from a student-led project, and it has become something with such a global impact. So yeah, and it has a mission that I really believe in. So when I found out that I got the role, that was like, I don't know, I just wanted to tell everyone I know about it. So yeah, definitely that.
I understand. I understand. How many events do you have in a year with Junction?
It really depends. Our main event happens once a year, usually in November. So this year it's on November 8th to 10th. But then we also have like Junction X events, which are sort of a franchise concept. So the same hackathon, but in different countries, hosted by local teams. And yeah, it really, really depends on how many people we agree with to host those. And we also have like a sustainability hackathon that happens annually. In It's a joint project with Alta Ventures program. So usually around 10, but yeah, the kind of crown jewel is the main event that's going to be in November.
Nice, nice. What has been the biggest challenge you had to overcome?
Uh, I think I think for me it was maybe navigating the job market as an immigrant, because yeah, back in the days there weren't that many, for example, English speaking positions here in Finland, and as you may know, the language is it's really tricky to learn, the Finnish language, especially on a native speaker level. So I would say, yeah, finding a job while juggling studies and like visas and all those kind of things. Yeah, that was a challenging time.
Are you speaking Finnish?
Not on a native speaker level, but like I understand a lot. I can hold a basic conversation, and at this point, I'm already a Finnish citizen. So like, I do speak it on a B1 level, let's say. But yeah, not definitely not enough to like hold all like job related conversations using it.
I understand. I understand. Which marketing activities have proven particularly successful to you?
In the context of Junction, for example, I would say it's content marketing, social media marketing, yeah, and community building. So for us, it's a lot about community, and it's a very tight knit ecosystem. So that's kind of what gives the biggest returns. Which, for me, in the beginning, it was a bit surprising because sometimes you kind of like get caught up in this like campaigns, like launching campaigns or launching paid ads, and you don't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture for Junction, at least, it's all about community and connecting with the people.
I understand. Do you use Facebook ads, for example, to promote your events, or you use just social media organic growth? What do you do to promote this event?
We try to focus on organic growth, and also a lot on inbound marketing. But let's see, the strategy is still in the works. And like, for example, I've learned a lot from launching the event in March, the sustainability hackathon. It was a smaller event, so there's been a lot of lessons from there which I'm taking towards the main event. So let's see, but so far the ones that I mentioned, yeah.
Okay, I understand. So I also use, or I'm still whenever this event is coming up, I'm doing the media buying on Facebook and Instagram for this event, and it's very successful to do media buying on Instagram and Facebook for this certain type of event. I'm not quite sure if
Yeah.
that makes sense to you, but it's very good one. The cost of acquisition, the CPA is very low, and that's something maybe you can consider in the future. I had very good experiences. Actually, we are doing nothing else with this event other than paid social.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll definitely look into that more. Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely. Um, what is your biggest challenge at the moment?
The biggest challenge at the moment, maybe kind of as I mentioned, like zooming out, because kind of like the CMO role, it it requires like a lot of work in different directions. So sometimes like I kind of like over focus. I don't know if it's just a me problem or it's a kind of universal experience, but sometimes you get caught up in the smaller tasks and then you kind of lose track of the bigger picture. And to me, like these days, I kind of like have to stop myself and like take a moment to zoom out and kind of align the short term strategy with the longer term strategy, and yeah, make sure they all work together well. So yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I learned 2 years ago that you should focus mostly on the tasks that are moving the money needle. So what I do right now with my time is I just focus on the tasks that move the money needle the furthest into direction profit, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many tasks in a company that you can get involved in that produce no income. But if you focus on the money needle, the income will come because you can then hire people who are going to do the stuff that is not really moving the money needle. I mean, that's for you as a non-profit organization, it's maybe a little different as well, but
It is a bit different, but yeah, I get, like, of course, ultimately we also, like, the KPIs that we track, they of course also involve the revenue that we get. And of course, no organization, even a not-for-profit one, could, like, continue like thriving without any money coming in. So yeah, that's definitely one of the focus areas. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's also about like community and kind of like seeing how much value it can bring to our audience
yeah,
and like to the participants. So there's a lot of factors to balance.
that's true. That's true. What do you think is the biggest mistake companies are currently doing in marketing?
um, well, maybe this one is not only like true for the current times, but in general, like not understanding the customers that well, not taking the time to truly understand them. And yeah, I feel like if a brand or a company is like not connecting with its audience on then the audience really feels it, like it's super obvious from the client perspective. So I'd say that's the biggest marketing mistake one can make.
Definitely, definitely. I hear every head of marketing saying this thing with this. Whenever I ask this question, every head of
Mm,
marketing is saying the focus on the target customer is not there. This is the biggest
definitely.
mistake. Uh, but it's true. It's very true, and I see it over and over again. And even companies who say we understand our dream customer, or we understand our target audience, even those sometimes they don't really understand what they should be looking for. I mean,
True, and it's also like always evolving. Like you may know your audience today, but then like there are trends emerging all the time, and then also like the demand is shifting. So yeah, it's a very dynamic thing that you have to track all the time.
what marketing decisions do you admire the most in today's corporate world?
Well, I really like when brands they don't take themselves too seriously, and they really put their resources into engaging with the audiences. So yeah, for example, like I'm a big fan of like what Duolingo does. It at this point it is like getting kind of like unhinged, and but it's very funny and it works. It's sometimes very counterintuitive and you're thinking like how did this company actually get to the point where this kind of like ridiculous things they started working for them. And actually for the previous question you asked, like not the previous one, but like in the interview you asked who is a great copywriter. I feel like if I'm not mispronouncing, it's Zaria Parves, who is working for Duolingo. She's definitely like one of my like I'm a fan of what she does. Yeah, and another brand that maybe does kind of like a similar thing is SEMrush. Lately I've been seeing a lot of super fun and like engaging posts from them. So yeah, definitely they're doing something right about their social media marketing strategies.
Definitely, and SEMrush is also very good at SEO, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
when it comes to any marketing questions or any marketing topics, and I search them up on Google, immediately I find something either on HubSpot or in
Yep.
SEMrush. They have everything covered,
Yep.
right?
And yeah, SEMrush is definitely like my favorite tool when it comes to SEO. Not an ad, not sponsored, but just like my personal preference. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's the same. For me it's the same. Some people swear that Ahrefs is better, but
Mm-mm.
for me personally, I had so much value in SEMrush. They
Yes.
have so many tools, keywords gap tool, even when it comes to link building, link gap tool. Uh,
Yeah.
these pre-formulated questions that when you type a keyword in, you can see the questions related to the keywords. You can see
Yes.
additional keywords that are in the same sort of topic or in the same area, uh, or related keywords you would rather call. It's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool, definitely.
Definitely. It's super intuitive and there's so much like attention to detail that yeah, for me as well, they're winning.
But it's also very expensive. It's $200 in a month, right?
It is. It is. But I feel like when it comes to SEO, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. It pays
Yeah.
off in the long run.
But I also like it's not as good for SEO, but it's also a very good tool. It's SimilarWeb. Have you ever heard of it?
Which one?
SimilarWeb.
Actually, no, never heard.
SimilarWeb is also brilliant when it comes to online research, where you can see the whole competition of a company. You just type in the company name, then you can see a bunch of competitors, and then
Hmm.
you can look up their strategies within the different channels, sort of what type of ads they are putting out, how much they're getting for these ads. I mean, it's SEMrush has some of the services that uh, SimilarWeb has, but it has a certain other range of services that is pretty good. So if you have these tools and use them together, it's very powerful, but it's also very expensive. I think this is also $200 in a year, so in a month, and then you just with these tools already around $400. But it's worth it if you are in a big company, or if it makes sense for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like unfortunately now, like some tools they do come close to having like everything all in one place, but we're not yet there. So I do believe it's important to use like a range of tools.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, if the budget allows.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What is your vision for the future, and what do you want to achieve?
Well, that is maybe that is maybe gonna be a very vague answer, but so far, like I really enjoy working with events, and I really enjoy being involved in the startup ecosystem, as I mentioned. So definitely gonna be like exploring more opportunities in this niche, and it doesn't actually necessarily have to be like limited to marketing, let's say. So also part of my philosophy is like to be open to unexpected opportunities, so just like kind of tapping into this niche and seeing, like looking for opportunities to make more impact in it through whichever angle it comes. That's kind of the vague vision for the future.
But it's also great to work with startups because you can build the marketing from scratch and then see them grow up like a child. And all of a sudden you
Exactly.
see, okay, this is what we achieved. All of a sudden they're huge, and you can say, okay, that's based actually on my work, right?
Yes, it is oftentimes like very challenging, but at the same time, it is like the most rewarding experience for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you had to build a brand from scratch, which business model and which industry would you choose, and why?
Well, yeah, I would definitely like to, as I mentioned, to kind of like stay in the startup niche. So maybe some kind of like platform that would like host many opportunities for startups of different levels, and maybe combine like funding opportunities, community hangouts, like educational resources all in one platform. And maybe the way to gain revenue from that would be through like maybe some premium features, or also through some like partnerships like advertising and stuff like that. So yeah,
So,
that's
yeah, yeah.
again maybe vague, but that's just some kind of like idea that I had, and I don't think it's there is such a resource at the moment. So that would be nice to have it.
That's a good idea. So, would you give this education for free, sort of?
It could be with a freemium, kind of like that there would be some free courses available, or like mentoring sessions. It doesn't really have to be like online or offline only, so it could be different types of events or educational opportunities. So yeah, some could be free and some could be like paid.
Well, that's a good idea. That's a pretty cool idea. I mean, it's kind of like a venture capital with a sort of coaching type of business and then community at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful idea.
Thanks.
What marketing steps would you use to build this brand?
Well, that's that's a big question, but I would start with, of course, like marketing research. I would say that's fundamental for this kind of niche, and a lot of research, then building a network, and then building the platform, which has like a focus on user experience. Yeah, and then filling it up, of course, with valuable content, and then from there, like kind of just actively spreading the word through marketing channels. So I mean, it's a big question on how to build a brand from scratch, but yeah, those would be probably the main pillars.
Yeah, definitely, especially when the resources are very short, right? So,
Exactly.
which marketing channels would you prefer for that reason? I mean, for example, you come from the SEO direction. Would this be a good opportunity for you, or would you say no, this is going to take way too long for us to really scale?
I mean, SEO oftentimes does take long, but I'm of course I'm biased, but I'm a strong believer that it pays off in the long run, and sometimes actually sooner than people expect. So yeah, SEO would definitely be one part of it, and then of course social media marketing and email marketing and content marketing. All like, yeah, it's really hard to kind of just like name one or two because all of them are important, I'd say.
So if you had to build an SEO for a website from scratch and you just had to limited resources, right? How would you
Yeah,
start off building a good domain authority for your brand?
I would start. I would start with the when it comes to non-branded keywords, I would start with the ones with the low keyword difficulty, so that would kind of help rank higher in the search engine results instantly. And I would also start building up authority on the branded keywords. And yeah, like I think that's just like a surefire strategy to get, higher in the search results, and then you just continue building it up from there. And then of course the technical aspect of SEO is super important. So yeah, especially in the beginning, it's super important to have a person who can take care of the technical aspects as well.
Yeah. When it comes to link building, how would you get good links for this company when you have not so much resources, not so much resources, and not so much money to build the links?
I mean, there are, for example, free guest blogging opportunities that definitely works. And then also just like pushing out really valuable content and distributing it wisely across social media channels, it helps to get links to your website. And also, of course, like interlinking the content within your website.
Yeah.
So building internal and external links. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I understand. I understand. What are the most important marketing channels that you would focus on? So it would be SEO, right? You said it would be social media, email marketing. Are there any other channels that you would focus on?
Yeah, well, those are the main things. And then again, like just I don't know, like face to face networking, community building, that's like I cannot overemphasize the importance of that. So I feel like also a lot of brands nowadays are winning from like when there are people involved in them, they also work on their personal brand. So that would also help a lot, I feel like.
Yeah,
So if I were to establish my own brand, I would definitely like, work on my personal brand as well, and then kind of like find a good meeting point for those two.
that's a very good point because I think in nowadays society, if you want to build a good marketing or a good company online,
Yeah.
you have to build also personal brands. Or at least you have to have somebody who is your personal brand for this company if you don't want
Yes,
to be it yourself. But you just have to get something, some attention to your company. And what's the best way for it? To the cheapest way to have an organic growth with your personal brand, right? Uh, I,
exactly.
there was a mistake that I did for a long time. I didn't do it for a long time. I neglected it for a long time. I didn't want to build my personal brand, but now here we are. I'm building also my personal brand.
Yes, and I feel like you're doing a great job. And of course, it's like it can be like very intimidating to put yourself out there because then, yeah, like if someone dislikes a company post, that's one thing. But if someone dislikes your personal post or like your kind of personal identity, then that is a whole different thing. So yeah, it takes like you got to be brave to do that, but it's like pays off. And as long as you don't take it like close to heart, I feel like, and see it as a part of the business or marketing strategy, it's gonna be all fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can also understand that people are worried about bad comments. But
Yeah.
actually, let's be honest right here. Actually, bad comments are something perfectly good for the social media
Engagement.
algorithms,
Yeah.
right? Because they're going to just boost your postings and then you're going to get more reach, even though your content is maybe shit. And I just saw it
Yeah.
today. I just saw some shit post from a personal brand today, and I think he did it on purpose. I think he just published it to annoy people. But it's also a good strategy to do.
I mean, yeah, it still gives you like publicity and engagement. So definitely, like the only thing here is that like to learn not to take it close to heart. For me, it's still, for example, like quite a bit of an issue. Like I'm still very careful when it comes to that. But yeah, definitely that's something worth exploring.
Definitely, definitely. How would you identify suitable employees for this new company?
Well, I don't have like a lot of experience with recruitment. I do have some from volunteering positions and also from Junction. I see oftentimes, I don't know if that's a rule, but I kind of see a recurring pattern that oftentimes the motivation and passion and potential, they outweigh an existing skill set in many cases. So of course skills are important, and yeah, but I would look for people who are really motivated and have the passion. This this word kind of like arises a lot from what I say, but I really feel like this kind of like having this spark is super important. And yeah, having a motivated employee is I think is the best investment one can make. So yeah, definitely for people who are passionate about what they do, they have interest in growing, they're open to challenges, those kind of things.
That's right, that's right, that's true. Which mistake would you avoid in any case?
Well, for sure, the mistake we mentioned in this interview, that like failing to understand the audience and the customers, that would be the biggest mistake. Um, yeah, I would say that's like the key thing to avoid. And other than that, maybe, yeah, to avoid staying in one's bubble and to like continue just exploring new opportunities and kind of different angles to approaching marketing and like business in general.
That's a good one, and I also see a big mistake in the marketing world when it comes to the planning phase, because a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in the planning phase. All
Mm.
of their dreams die in this planning phase because they get caught up with just planning their next move. How can I improve my company? How can I do the next thing? But they don't focus on, okay, let's go to the market and let's start. And if that happens, if they just plan and plan and plan, but don't take no action, what happens? Company is going to die. So that's a big thing that I see in the market or in the company world, where people who are starting out with their own company get just stuck up in this planning phase. The best thing you can do is, I think, to start off immediately, even though you're not ready. That's a big thing. Even though you're not ready, just start out. Just go out there. Just try to make customers and get the feedback from the customers. Because once you get the feedback, you know in which direction you need to go in, right? So that's what I see often in the company sphere.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Of course, like it, you have to be rational, of course, and you have to like test the idea from many different like angles. But yeah, taking action is super important. I definitely agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there a book that you would recommend?
Well, I haven't read that, like, honestly, I haven't read a lot of marketing related or business related books aside from the kind of textbooks that we had in university. But for example, one thing one book that was coming up quite often for me and keeps coming up. Like I see excerpts from there. It's I believe Robert Cialdini, and it's I think the psychology of persuasion. And I haven't read it myself like fully, but I feel like I've read a fair bit of it just from the excerpts that keep appearing and people quoting it. So that's definitely on my list to read over the summer. And I think like it's a safe option to recommend because I've heard like really positive reviews about it.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Marina, thanks a lot for taking this opportunity and being here. I enjoyed it a lot, and I wish you the best for the future.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really enjoyed having this conversation. And yeah, I also wish you the best of luck with this whole
Thank you.
interview adventure, I feel like. And yeah, it
Thanks a
was
lot.
really nice meeting you.
You too, definitely.